November 12, 1944, 22,000 feet above the dense, snow-dusted canopy of the Ardennes forest. The cold is a physical presence. It seeps through the plexiglass canopy of the P-38J Lightning, a bone-deep chill that no heated flight suit can fully repel. Inside the cramped cockpit, Second Lieutenant William "Billy" Walker, 18 years old and barely 3 months out of flight school, flexes his gloved fingers, trying to keep the blood flowing. The twin Allison engines on either side of his fuselage pod create a constant, deep-throated vibration that travels up the stick and into his arm, a reassuring roar that tells him he is still master of this 10-ton beast of a fighter. For now. His squadron, the 434th Fighter Squadron of the 479th Fighter Group, is spread out in a loose combat formation, their distinctive twin-boom silhouettes like predatory sharks against the pale, wintry sun. Their charges, a box of B-17 Flying Fortresses, lumber on ahead, their silver fuselages catching the light. It was supposed to be a milk run, a straightforward escort mission to a rail yard near Trier, Germany. Little flak, no bandits expected. Billy's flight lead, Captain Miller, had said as much in the briefing. "Keep your eyes peeled, kids, but don't expect a party." The words feel like a lifetime ago. Up here, the sky is vast, empty, and terrifyingly silent, save for the hum in his headset and the growl of his own engines. You feel impossibly small, a tiny speck of metal and flesh suspended between the heavens and a hostile earth. Billy swallows, his throat dry. He can taste the stale coffee from this morning's breakfast mixed with the metallic tang of his own anxiety. Every shadow on the clouds below looks like a fighter. Every glint of sun on a distant ice crystal tricks his eyes. He scans his sector. Left, right, up, down, just as they taught him. The P-38 is a superb high-altitude interceptor, a devastatingly stable gun platform. But it's not a dogfighter. It can't turn with the nimble single-engine fighters of the Luftwaffe. Its nickname, the Fork-tailed Devil, was earned through speed and firepower, not agility. In a turning fight, it's a pig. A very fast, very well-armed pig, but a pig nonetheless. And at 18, with only 50 hours in the cockpit, Billy feels less like a devil and more like a boy trying to wrestle a runaway tractor. The radio crackles. It's Miller. His voice is unnaturally calm, a taut wire pulled to its breaking point. Shamrock leader to flight. Bandits, 3 o'clock high. Looks like the whole damn Luftwaffe is having a party after all. Billy's head snaps to the right, and there they are. Not glints, not shadows. They are diving out of the sun, dark, crucifix-like shapes growing larger with terrifying speed. Messerschmitt Bf-109s. 1, 2, 3. He loses count. There are dozens. They aren't going for the bombers. They are coming for escort. They are coming for him. The sky, empty and peaceful seconds ago, erupts into a maelstrom of chaos. The radio becomes a cacophony of shouts, warnings, and curses. "Break left, Shamrock 2, break left. I've got one on my 6. Tracers, like angry red hornets, slice through the air. The B-17s plod onward, oblivious, as their little friends engage in a life-or-death ballet miles behind them. Billy jams his throttle forward, the superchargers kicking in with a whine. He follows Miller into a steep diving turn, the G-forces pressing him deep into his seat, his vision tunneling. He's no longer thinking, just reacting. Instincts drilled into him over the dusty airfields of Texas are all he has. He gets a 109 in his sights for a fleeting second, a perfect deflection shot, but he's too slow. The German pilot rolls away, disappearing under his wing. A mistake. You never lose sight of your enemy. He pulls up, trying to regain altitude, to find his wingmen, to find anyone. But the formation is shattered. He is alone. And then he sees them. 5 of them. They have detached from the main furball and are arcing gracefully, purposefully, toward him. They form a perfect combat line, a pack of wolves that has just singled out the youngest, weakest member of the herd. His stomach turns to ice. There is no escape. The sky is immense, but suddenly, for Billy Walker, it has become a very small, very deadly box.
The 5 Bf-109s form a classic hunter-killer pack. They are professionals. Billy can see it in their fluid, coordinated movements. The lead pilot, an ace by the look of the yellow spinner on his propeller, positions himself directly on Billy's tail, just outside effective range, while his 4 wingmen spread out, boxing him in, cutting off every possible avenue of escape. This isn't a frenzied attack. It's a cold, methodical execution. Billy's mind races. He can't outrun them in a dive. The P-38 is fast, but they have the advantage of altitude and surprise. He certainly can't outturn them. Every ounce of training screams at him to perform a split S, to roll and dive away, but they've anticipated that. 2 of the 109s have already dropped lower, waiting to pounce on him if he tries it. He is caught. the chilling realization washes over him. He is going to die. He zigzags, he skids, he throttles up and down, anything to throw off the lead pilot's aim. But the German is patient. He's just waiting for the American rookie to bleed off his energy, to make a mistake. The first tracers whip past Billy's right wing, so close he can hear the sharp crackle as they tear through the air. The sound is intimate, personal, a message sent just for him. Panic, cold and sharp, begins to prick at the edges of his training. The voice of his instructor echoes in his head. Never panic. A panicked pilot is a dead pilot. But the instructor is safe on the ground in Arizona. He isn't the one with 5 of Jagdgeschwader 2's finest on his tail. Billy looks back, a quick, terrified glance over his shoulder. The lead 109 is closer now, its nose cannon a dark, menacing hole. He can almost see the pilot in the cockpit, a faceless Grim Reaper in a leather helmet and oxygen mask. In that moment, 18 years of life flash through his mind, not as memories, but as a desperate primal urge to live. He does the one thing a pilot in a heavy P-38 should never do in a low-speed dogfight. He hauls back on the control column with all his strength. It's not a calculated maneuver. It's a pure, reflexive act of terror, an attempt to claw his way up and away from the predator behind him. The nose of the Lightning pitches up violently. The controls go mushy in his hands. A horrific, deep shudder runs through the entire airframe, a groan of stressed metal protesting the aerodynamic abuse. The stall horn blares, a deafening, continuous scream that fills the cockpit. He has pushed the plane beyond its limits. He has demanded more lift from the wings than they can possibly provide. The left wing drops first, and the world outside the canopy dissolves into a sickening, chaotic spin. He is thrown hard against his straps. The sky and the earth become an inseparable spinning blur of gray and green. The P-38 isn't just spinning, it's falling flat, like a maple seed pod, rotating horizontally around its center of gravity, a flat spin. The instructor's words come back, this time as a death sentence. In a P-38, a flat spin is unrecoverable. Bail out. But the centrifugal force is immense. It pins him to his seat, making it impossible to move, to even reach for the canopy release. He is trapped inside a 10-ton centrifuge, plummeting towards the forest below. His voice, thin and reedy with terror, cracks over the radio, a desperate, hopeless plea to a sky that has already abandoned him. Mayday! Mayday! Shamrock 4! I'm in a spin! I can't recover! He fights the controls, jamming the rudder pedals, pushing the stick, but it's like trying to steer a boulder in an avalanche. The plane does not respond. It is no longer an aircraft. It is just a piece of falling wreckage. He closes his eyes, bracing for the inevitable, crushing impact. The enemy pilots, he thinks, must be laughing. They must be watching him fall. A perfect textbook kill. A terrified rookie who beat himself. The spin tightens. The roar of the wind becomes a deafening shriek. And for Billy Walker, the war is over.
For Hauptmann Klaus Richter, leader of the German flight, the sight is both satisfying and slightly disappointing. He eases off the throttle of his Messerschmitt Bf 109G, watching the American P-38 tumble out of the sky. The boy had panicked, just as he knew he would. A clumsy, brutish yank on the controls, and the heavy fighter had simply given up flying. Richter keys his radio, his voice the epitome of detached professionalism. Target is finished. He's in an unrecoverable spin. Let's rejoin the flight. Well done, men. His wingmen, who had been holding their positions like disciplined sheepdogs, begin to bank gracefully to follow him. The kill was almost too easy. There was no art to it, no challenge, just a frightened child in a powerful machine he didn't understand. They watched the lightning fall, its twin booms cartwheeling lazily, a dead thing spiraling towards the trees. But inside that dead thing, Billy Walker is still alive, and his world is pure violence. The G-forces are trying to tear him apart. His head is slammed against the side of the canopy, his vision blurring in and out. The altimeter is unwinding at a terrifying rate, 18,000 feet, 15,000, 12,000. The green of the Ardennes is no longer a distant map, it's a rapidly approaching wall. The whine of the wind is punctuated by the groans and creaks of the P-38's airframe, protesting its terminal descent. Yet, through the dizzying panic, a strange phenomenon is occurring. The very act of the spin, the chaotic, flat rotation that has rendered his aircraft uncontrollable,
is also generating an immense amount of drag. The massive surface area of the wings and twin tails, presented broadside to the airflow, is acting like a giant accidental drogue chute. The P-38, while spinning wildly, is not plummeting in a clean dive. It is falling, yes, but its vertical speed is dramatically unnaturally reduced. Klaus Richter and his 4 wingmen, their engines still at combat power, are not slowing down. They had been closing in for the kill at over 300 miles per hour. Now their target has slammed on the brakes in mid-air. In the space of a few heartbeats, the hunters become the overshooters. One by one, they flash past the tumbling American fighter, and by the sheer impossibility of what is happening. They had the perfect kill lined up, and in an instant, their target has used a fatal mistake to perform the most effective air brake they have ever witnessed. Billy, his vision clearing for a brief stomach-lurching moment at the top of each rotation, sees it. Through the spinning kaleidoscope of sky and earth, he sees 5 sleek, shark-like fighters sweep past him. They are no longer on his tail. They are below him. They are in front of him. They are momentarily completely vulnerable. The thought barely registers, a flicker of light in the terrifying darkness of his predicament. Survival is still the only priority. The spin holds him in its grip, a relentless gravitational demon. But something has changed. The balance has shifted. He is no longer the cornered rabbit. He is still falling, still out of control, but for the first time in what feels like an eternity, he is no longer looking at the guns of the enemy. He is looking at their backs. The impossible has happened. Gravity, the force that was meant to kill him, had just offered him a chance to live.
10,000 feet. The trees are no longer a texture, they are individual shapes, a carpet of dark green and white that promises only oblivion. The instructor's voice, once a harbinger of doom, now returns as a desperate mantra. Opposite rudder, stick forward, neutralize ailerons. It was the textbook spin recovery procedure, a series of steps you drilled on the ground but prayed you'd never use, especially not in a P-38 and especially not in a flat spin this violent. But it's all he has left. Fighting the crushing G-force that wants to keep him pinned, Billy summons every ounce of strength. He stomps on the right rudder pedal, the one opposite the direction of the spin. The plane shudders, resisting. It's like trying to turn a battleship with a canoe paddle. The spin continues, unabated. Stick forward, the voice in his head is screaming now. He shoves the control column forward, hard, into the instrument panel. This is counterintuitive, terrifying. He is pointing the nose of his falling plane even more directly at the ground. For a horrifying second, nothing happens. The spin continues, 8,000 feet. Then he feels it, a subtle shift. The violent horizontal rotation begins to slow. The sickening, yawing motion lessens, and the spin starts to transition into something else, something more familiar, a dive. The nose of the lightning drops, and the screaming wind over the wings changes pitch, from a chaotic shriek to a streamlined roar. The spin is broken. But he has traded one death sentence for another. He is now in a near-vertical dive, the ground rushing up to meet him at over 400 miles per hour. The force of the pullout will be immense. The P-38's wings were strong, but there was a limit. Pull back too hard and they would shear off. Pull back too slowly and he would become a crater in the Belgian countryside. 6,000 feet. Gently, firmly, he begins to ease back on the stick. The G-forces slam into him like a physical blow, multiples of his own body weight crushing him into his seat. The blood drains from his head, his vision graying out at the edges. The aircraft trembles and groans, every rivet and spar straining against the incredible pressure. He fights to stay conscious, grunting, tensing every muscle in his body to keep the blood in his brain. 5,000 feet, 4,000. The tops of the pine trees are alarmingly clear. He can see the snow on their branches. He pulls harder. The wings hold. The nose of the P-38 finally lifts, clawing its way back toward the horizon. He levels out, his wheels practically skimming the forest canopy. The roar of his twin Allisons echoes off the trees below. He is shaken, drenched in sweat, his lungs heaving for air. But he is alive. He is flying. He has control. As the blood returns to his head and his vision clears, he looks up. The sky, which had been his execution chamber just moments before, is now his arena. And in that arena, slightly above him and a few miles ahead, are the 5 BF-109s. They are circling, confused, their pilots likely arguing over the radio about what just happened, trying to locate the wreckage of the American they thought was dead. They are completely unaware that their victim has not only survived, but is now climbing, silent and unseen, directly toward their 6 o'clock position. In Billy Walker's mind, a switch flips. The terrified 18-year-old boy who pulled the stick in a panic is gone. In his place is a pilot who has just faced death and spit in its eye. The fear is burned away, replaced by a cold, crystalline clarity, a predator's focus. He thumbs the gun selector to arm all 4.50 caliber machine guns and the single 20mm cannon in the nose. He is no longer running. He is hunting. The German pilots are disoriented. Their perfect textbook bounce has devolved into chaos. Hauptmann Richter is trying to restore order, his voice sharp over the radio, demanding his pilots reform the wing. They are scanning the forest below, looking for the plume of black smoke that would confirm their kill. This preoccupation, this hunter's arrogance, is the opening Billy needs. The P-38, a notoriously quiet aircraft from the rear, climbs with a steady, vengeful purpose. Billy's hands are rock steady on the controls now. His breathing is even. The world has shrunk to the glowing orange pipper of his gun sight and the rearmost Bf-109. The German pilot is weaving slightly, casually clearing his tail, but he's looking high, expecting an attack from above, not from a ghost climbing out of the grave. Billy closes the distance. 400 yards. 300. The Messerschmitt grows in his sight until it fills the glass. He doesn't fire a ranging burst. He doesn't want to give any warning. At 250 yards, he squeezes the trigger. The nose of the P-38 erupts in a torrent of fire and noise. The concentrated firepower of 4 heavy machine guns and a cannon, all clustered within a few feet of each other, creates a buzzsaw of lead and high-explosive shells. There is no convergence point to worry about. The stream of destruction is a straight line. The rounds tear into the 109's right wing root and fuselage. The effect is instantaneous and catastrophic. The wing simply disintegrates, and the German fighter snaps into a violent, uncontrolled roll, trailing fire and black smoke before plunging toward the forest. 1 down. The other 4 German pilots see the explosion of their wingman. Their confusion turns to shock and then to frantic alarm. They brake hard, scattering in all directions, no longer a cohesive unit, but 4 terrified individuals. This is exactly what Billy needs. He ignores the leader, Richter, who is pulling into a steep climbing turn to try and get on his tail. Billy focuses on the next closest target, a 109 that broke right, putting its belly in Billy's sights. He rolls with it, leads it perfectly, and fires another short, brutal burst. The 20mm shells find the plane's belly-mounted radiator. Glycol streams out in a thick white plume, and the Daimler-Benz engine seizes almost immediately. The propeller windmills to a stop, and the second 109 is out of the fight, its pilot forced to bail out or ride it down. 2 down. Now it's a 2-on-1. 2 109s are fleeing, diving for the safety of their own lines. Billy lets them go. His target is Richter, the ace, who has now completed his turn and is coming at him head-on. This is a Foon's game, a test of nerve that the German ace expects the rookie to lose. But Billy is not the same rookie from 5 minutes ago. He knows the P-38's ace in the hole, its concentrated nose armament. He flies straight at Richter, his thumb hovering over the trigger. The distance closes with incredible speed. Tracers from the 109's cowl guns flash past his canopy. He holds his fire, waiting, his heart pounding a steady, cold rhythm. At the last possible second, as Richter is about to break off, Billy fires. A 1-second burst. A solid wall of steel hammers into the Messerschmitt's engine block. The German plane shudders violently, black oil smearing across its canopy, and Richter is forced to dive away, his aircraft mortally wounded. The sky is suddenly, shockingly, empty. The silence in his headset is deafening. Billy orbits the space where the battle took place, his gaze sweeping over the forest below where 3 columns of smoke now rise into the cold winter air. It doesn't feel real. He checks his gauges. Fuel is low. Ammunition is depleted. He bangs his P-38, the fork-tailed devil, and sets a course for home. Back at base, the debriefing is met with stunned disbelief until the gun camera footage is developed. It shows it all. The chaotic spin, the miraculous recovery, and the methodical destruction of 3 enemy fighters. The boy who screamed for help over the radio had turned a rookie's fatal mistake into a legendary tactic. He had discovered, by pure, terrifying accident, that the P-38's greatest weakness, its susceptibility to a violent spin, could be its ultimate defense. An aerodynamic flaw, when pushed to its absolute limit, became the perfect air brake, a maneuver that rewrote the rules and turned a guaranteed death into an astonishing victory. The spin, which should have killed him, was the very thing that saved him.